Georgia is going to Georgia Tech. Not that far for travel, and a lot less. Well, I guess there's still quite a bit on the line here. We don't know, I guess. We haven't seen the new college football playoff rankings yet as we're recording this, but seems like Georgia Tech probably on the outside looking in. But you know that they're going to be dialed in for this game. This game last year was incredible. Multiple overtime game. Haynes King in his bag. I mean, Brent Key and staff just absolutely showing out like they do in the big games. Unfortunately, they fall to Pitt last week. Just some serious mental errors early in that game. It was a game that they could have won. But you're looking at this defense right now, the way that they're playing for Georgia Tech, and you're looking at the offense and how Gunnar Stockton is playing right now for Georgia. And it is hard for me to picture, Sadie, a path for Georgia Tech to win this football game.
It really is. It starts with the magic, though. At Georgia Tech, the worst part about this game is that it's going to be in Mercedes-Benz. Am I reading that right? Neutral site for a rivalry game. Give me Bobby
I
Dodd.
mean, yeah, it's in Atlanta, I guess. But
Yeah, I guess yeah. But let's be honest though, it's different. It's not Bobby Dodd.
You're right.
It's not Bobby Dodd. But here, listen, the Haynes King is the X factor. They have talent on this roster. There's no doubt. You've got Haynes, you've got Hosley, obviously Rutherford, Eric Rivers, bunch of guys, playmakers for Georgia Tech. It'll be about that defense. That defense has to step up. It has to be opportunistic. It cannot get shredded on the ground, right? Georgia, we've seen their offense and their running game kind of come a little bit more alive with whether it's Frazier, whether it's Chauncey Bowens, of course, Stockton doing his legs, fighting for tough yards like we love to see him and the gamer that he is do. That's where I'm going to be looking for here. Like, can Georgia Tech stop the run here, put the game in the right shoulder and the right arm of Gunnar Stockton? And can he go make plays on the road, right, in Mercedes-Benz there? And, of course, Haynes King, again, a lot will be put on his shoulders. You talk about last week, he had 41 passing attempts, 20 rushes, 61 times. The fate of a football play was in his arms, man. It is, first of all, fun to watch. Let's cherish it while we can. I believe he is out of eligibility. Now, who knows what will happen with, you can't never say never with eligibility in college football anymore, but let's just appreciate it. A couple more goes. We get to see number 10 in gold there for the Yellow Jackets go. But yeah, it's a tough outlook for Georgia Tech. A Georgia Tech team that had so much promise, I think, just 3 weeks ago, right? Undefeated, controlling their destiny in the ACC, watching fellow ACC teams blow it. And there they are, just limping to the finish line. November's a tough month. It's a tough month, and it has been tough for Georgia Tech here. A win against Georgia, while it's not going to help them in their conference standings, would obviously be a big boost for them, for them getting to 10 wins in the season. A lot of good things can come from it. Of course, it's rivalry week. What is it? Good old-fashioned hate in that clean old-fashioned hate. All right, one of the better rivalry names in college football between the Bulldogs and the Yellow Jackets.
There are a lot of players from both of these teams that remember this game from last year.
Yeah.
8 overtimes. Haynes King, 300 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 100 yards on the ground, 24 carries, 3 touchdowns on the ground for him. I mean, so where does this was a game that obviously people didn't anticipate the 7 and, or I guess going into the game, Georgia Tech was 7-4. Yellow Jackets going into this game against a Georgia team that was rolling at the time, making their case for the college football playoffs. It was, and also at this point, they had clinched the SEC championship, against Texas, where they ultimately ended up winning the SEC championship. So where's the rivalry factor playing here? Like, how much of a bump do these guys get? Or is it less of a bump here because this Georgia staff has seen Haynes King, right? He's not exactly he's not an easy guy to prep for, right? You think you know what you're doing when it comes to him, but you really don't. And some key injuries to that Georgia defense as well. And the spread here, when we're going to pick it at, is 13.5 points, right? Are you comfortable laying the 13.5 points with Georgia in this game? Given that it's a rivalry game, given that this Georgia coaching staff has seen Haynes King, but also a lot of these Yellow Jacket players remember this game from last year and are absolutely looking for some revenge. There's a lot of factors. There is a lot of variables in this game I think to think about.
Plus, to the injury, the health, and the front seven of that defense for Kirby Smart. We love Brent Key, big game Brent Key, big game Buster Faulkner running the football, man. You see it how many times. I know Kirby Smart, I know Glenn Schumann will be just terrorized all throughout this week, trying to figure out a way to stop the rushing attack from Georgia Tech. And if you don't have CJ Allen, of course, you got some injuries up in that front in your defensive line. Jordan, who am I for? Hall.
Hall.
Yeah, Jordan Hall, among a couple of big guys for you that you're going to be missing. That's important. That's absolutely important. You talked about it being a rivalry game too, and how it just shrinks everything, and it's almost like, well, here we go, here we go. I will say for Georgia defensively, in terms of getting a good look at Haynes Kings. First of all, they've seen him for a couple years now, right? That's good. Secondly, not that they're the same player, but it's you almost get a similar feel about Gunnar Stockton in terms of his play style a little bit, especially earlier in the season, relying on his legs a little bit more like Haynes King's. Now the reality is like King is one of those guys that I think when you see him on film, you just like licking your chops, like I cannot wait to just deliver him a massive hit. Can't wait to get to him. He feels like he's much easier to tackle on the film. You get on the field, and I think it's a much different ball game. But this defense understands that. I think the playmakers can get it done. I like Georgia in this game. I do, even though it's at Georgia Tech technically, even though it's in Atlanta. I still feel good about what Georgia's doing. I think they're rolling. I think they are peaking right now in November for college football. I think they're eyeing a potential SEC championship berth. Right, this game is going to be what is this this is Friday as well. This is before A&M and Texas, before Alabama and Auburn. So they are still playing for a spot potentially, in the college or in the SEC championship, depending on how some things shake out with the other games there. But yeah, I like the Bulldogs here.
I do too. Although I'm going to be giving a little bit more of a rivalry bump to Georgia Tech, the dog. I mean, when you're a dog, right, and you're playing in your home city, double digit dog,
Yeah.
right? We know all about double digit dogs here on this show, all right? I do think Georgia's going to win this football game. I think we talked about a much better team. I think that the staff has seen what Haynes King's capable of. I think they'll be more prepared than they were last year. I think this offense is absolutely humming, and this Georgia Tech defense continues to plummet. But 13.5 might be a little bit too much for me in a rivalry game like this. So I'll take Georgia Tech to cover the spread, but I will take Georgia to win that football game. Seems like we're sort of on the same page there, other than, I don't know. Here's last year, I didn't do a good job picking these games in rivalry week. Right? And I think because I wasn't giving the respect to some of these rivalry games that maybe I should have been. So I'm going to give the rivalry bump to Georgia Tech there.